Hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo fue tu día? ¿Qué hiciste hoy? ¿Qué estás haciendo ahora? ¿Qué vas a hacer esta noche? Welcome to video 10. We've covered verb theory, which is how to learn verbs and what verbs are good for. We've covered noun theory, vocabulary theory, which is how to complete the sentence after the verb, which is what you do. And the big picture thing is, how are you going to use the language? Yeah. I haven't put in any lessons about how to count or specific vocabulary lessons like colors or anything like that. That's the stuff, man. You can find that anywhere. Instead, we're thinking about big picture language learning strategy, how to use the language. Like, that's what it's all about. Lesson 10 now. What are we going to do? Here's what we're going to do. Let's get into some specifics on the most important verbs themselves. Okay, so the verb be, have, go, do. Open that up a little more and flesh out some of the most important high frequency vocabulary and situations that go along with that. And yeah, so look, ser and estar. Okay, that's going to be the theme of this lesson. It's the verb ser and estar. Both of those are infinitive verbs. Ser translates as to be, and estar translates to be as well. Okay, we'll put estar on this side and ser on this side, and start taking a look at how this works. Okay, so now this is a specific lesson. This is a specific verb lesson, a grammar lesson, if you like, a typical kind of Spanish lesson. You'll find ser and estar talked about all over the place. But again, as always, let's try to keep it situational, contextual. Use this right away and apply some concepts. So past, present, and future is, as always, a good way to look at it. Present tense for the first person, estoy, would translate as I am, while soy over here translates as I am. All right. So what's the difference between the two? The difference is this. Estar talks about your location. So let's build this up. It talks about your location, it talks about your mood, and it talks about what you're doing. Okay, so I am at home would be estoy en casa. Your mood, I'm fine, estoy bien, or what you're doing, I'm studying, estoy estudiando. Okay, so 3 examples of how to use that. If we go into the past tense, estaba would be I was, and voy a estar, I'm going to be. All right, I'm going to spread this out a little bit. So, estar, estaba, estoy, voy a estar. So I was at home, I am at home, I'm going to be at home. Use 501 Spanish verbs to get the full conjugation. That's something you can do on your own. Estabas, you were, or were you? Vas a estar, are you going to be? We, they, so on and so forth. Use 501 Spanish verbs to get the whole thing. But just as the general idea here, you can talk about your location, your mood, and what you're doing with the verb estar. Okay, let's take a look at ser. Ser talks about who you are. It's like your identity. So if I want to say I am Tony, I would say soy Tony, right? If I want to say it's all identity stuff. It's where you're from. Soy de North Carolina originally, soy this, soy that. Era, I was. Voy a ser, right? I am a teacher. I was a student, still am a student too. Era estudiante, soy maestro, soy estudiante, and I'm going to be, if you're going to be a doctor, some days voy a ser doctor, for example, okay? Cuando era niño is a high frequency expression. Cuando era niño, when I was a child. That's just one that it's good to know. Likewise, over here, when you say, if you say cuando estaba en, means when I was in such and such. So if you used to live in, like New York, like, so when I was in New York, such and such happened. Cuando estaba en Nueva York, or so on and so forth. So cuando estaba, when I was. And then over here, talking about identity, when I was a child, cuando era niño. Let's get into this. Es means it is. All right. I should put that in the present tense. So, what's the date today? It's actually Saturday today. So, es sábado. It is Saturday. Es sábado. If you point to your friend and say, "Oh, this is my friend, es mi amigo," right? This is my wife, es mi esposa. This is my husband, es mi esposo. This is my mom, es mi mamá. This is my dad, es mi papá. Okay, this is my sister, es mi hermana. This is my brother, es mi hermano. So you're pointing out who and what things are using the verb es. Es comes from ser. For more information, look up ser in the 501 Spanish verbs. And then apples to apples, está means it is when you're using the estar verb. So if you want to say he or she or it, he is here. Está aquí. Está aquí. It's okay. Está bien. It is cold. Está frío. And so on and so forth. Ser and estar. So again, you can find information about ser and estar in a whole bunch of places. You'll hear a lot of people say, well, estar means it's temporary and ser means it's permanent. That's more or less true. It's not 100% true because it's not like being a certain profession is necessarily permanent. So there's different explanations all over the place. Main point, estar is for your location, where you are, how I feel, what I'm doing. And then ser is kind of for everything else, which is identity, your origin, who and what things are. Check out 501 Spanish verbs. Come up with examples. Come up with questions that you may have, and then take those questions out. Send me an email, or call your friend, and just figure out what your questions are, and then try to get them answered by people if anything comes up. Otherwise, just keep practicing. Practice using ser and estar. Practice writing, practice speaking, and we'll see you in the next video. Next, we're going to move on to a couple other individual verbs and how the basic things work, and you'll be on your way toward good conversation in no time. ¿Está bien? Bueno, hasta luego.